All right, the housing crisis, the homelessness epidemic, tonight it needs to be addressed. And we're not just talking about men and women, we're talking about different colors, we're talking about different ages, we're talking about different racial backgrounds. I think it's going to get a lot worse. Right now I'm already hearing about like RVs like lined up in Portland neighborhoods, also Denver, other places. An increase of people living in their RVs. One of the reasons this is happening, land use codes, for example, there's certain restrictions in America with regards to what you can do on your own land. There is cheap land out here in the United States. It obviously comes with a cost. If you roll into a county without knowing what their rules are. A lot of things have changed in recent years. What was legal is apparently illegal now. A lot has changed in 10 years. So the best piece of off-grid advice that I give anybody, if you're thinking about going somewhere, this isn't like it used to be. Now, of course, people have different theories as to why, things have changed. Is it Agenda 21? Well, it seems partially influenced by that, but you have other reasons as well. Sometimes a local backlash, fear of the newcomers, the outsiders. We're also seeing a lot of people displaced in different places in America when places become super popular and gentrified. The people native to those populations, just like in Peru, for example, in Bolivia, where some of the locals can't afford to eat or buy quinoa because the popularity here in the United States. Here we have a situation where Portlanders can't afford to live there. People in Denver, other cities, they're seeing them gentrified, and it's causing massive social stress. Now, I do think that the community, if one is to call himself a community that's compassionate, they should be proactive in not letting some people, especially if they're assets to the community in some way, shape, or form, right? Why they would let them just sleep on the street and expect the government or the city to have enough space to house every potential freezing person during a really cold winter. What I noticed at City Hall in Portland, I made a video about this, but I'll be brief. The new mayor of Portland, Ted Wheeler, basically getting the blame for a host of issues, right, that accumulated over a long period of time. Also, Portland gets a lot of, people can use different words to describe the different demographics that find themselves to Portland. It's a lot of different people. It's a melting pot. It's a lot of people, I would just say, that are drifters, that want to find themselves. They're not really sure what they want to do in life, or really, it's a different place, and it goes through different changes. And places like Portland, when they're when things are vibing in a positive direction, you can feel it. And when that becomes so monetized, right, that whole Portland thing, that it creates such extreme have and have-nots. And again, you can see this in your own city and in your own community. You can see how the greed, people like chasing that high off of sitting so high and living in the neighborhood during a period where it's cool to live in a neighborhood, right? Where those bars and restaurants become super trendy. Nothing wrong with being successful in business. I would say that there are too many people that are trapped in the city that shouldn't be trapped in the city. So you have people that are homeless in the city. Is that really where they want to be, on the street? Or is there a better place for them? Are these questions really being looked at? Are some of those people retired craftsmen? Can they build things with their hands? I'm echoing some things I've said in the past. A lot of the men that are out there that are losing their mind to drink are losing their mind to drink into the things because they see how, in their mind, they don't see how the world needs them at all, or even gives a damn about them. And if there is some sort of a handout, oh, here's a church, here's a sandwich. There are other things that homeless men and women need. other than those social services, or to be told to apply for what welfare. Food stamps helps on a logistic level. But when it comes to really getting on your feet, or discovering who you are, or utilizing the skills right away that you've had for years, to build something and have maybe a city work with a community that's helping the homeless, that they have millions of dollars that they just hemorrhage, literally in all different directions. You allocate a portion of that to buildings for construction. Of course, you have it supervised. With regards to tiny home communities, right, there should be clean and sober. No serious drug addiction, especially certain drugs. Marijuana is legal in Colorado and Oregon and other places. So there could be a modern, updated, revised, look, we're going to have a place where people can live in their tiny homes, but we're not going to let it turn into a ghetto. Like what turns into a situation where people are under the bridge and there's needles and there's garbage. There's ways humans can organize to where people that really want to help themselves and either get off the streets or maybe go off grid or do something else with their life. Why should people be told who they should be or who they should work for? Or that they should just do whatever it takes to get the money to pay the rent to continue living in that town. But what if that's making them miserable? What if moving is what that man needs to do? To uproot himself. You don't like your situation? Have you really discovered the outside world, or are you feeling stuck where you're stuck? Think about a person living in their van 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. Yeah, it gets comfortable after a while, a sense of security. But then a man or a woman that's living out of their vehicle in the same old place might need to ask themselves, do I need to make a change in my life? Another thing that I'm going to bring up that I mentioned before. Now I understand. I didn't understand then. Now I do. I made a question, or I put it out there in 2013 that more home-free men should be documenting their experiences on YouTube, and why I was one of the few during that period of travel. When I left Portland, right before going back to Portland, where I lived in my teardrop camper for a year. I'm also going to talk about what kept me together during that home-free experience, which only lasted 1 year in Portland. But I put a video on YouTube saying, why aren't other people discussing it? Now they are. It's the shame. It's the way people assume that you're a hardcore narcotics user, or, well, you're so talented, man, or you've got gifts, or you just must not want to work. There's always something. What about someone's right to take a break from a lifetime of working to figure out, am I doing the most effective thing with my time to be free and independent? I had to do it for myself. Where did it end up for me? Well, by the time I was back in Portland, and thanks to 8-Digit PDX for the help that he did provide me to help the teardrop camper, and I gave that away before I left Portland, through the website gig, providing a few hundred a month, which started around February, specifically in that year of 2015. Income. That started to build, and then the YouTube AdSense, which is now down, but it started to function for me in that same time period of going back to Portland, living in the teardrop camper. First it was, though, just the back of an 85 Toyota pickup truck with a canopy that I bought off Craigslist for $50. And I was like, okay, I think I'm ready for this. Ow, my back. Ugh. I went through that experience. How did I keep it together? I went to the friendly house, and I worked out there and showered. Really wasn't all that friendly of a house. A lot of people that work in social services are not friendly. So I brought back my show to cable access. I even talked about being homeless on the program, but I didn't let it dominate. I still talked about the Alex Jones deception and the right-wing deceptions that are built in our country, the fake Islamic invasion stuff that InfoWars was pushing. I was discussing corruption in the city of Portland and the history of the Shanghai in a whole separate episode. And I was always speculating that, the current drug addiction that you're seeing above ground in Portland is above where people were one day, long time ago, at one point, kidnapped and shanghaied off to sea. As barbaric as that might sound, that's exactly what happened to the people of Portland that basically built the city, right? Only to see, it's like fast forward, it's like that scene from Lean On Me. made in 1987, where it shows the 1960s high school, and then here's Guns N' Roses' Welcome to the Jungle. You know what I mean? And then you look at the modern Portland compared to the old Portland, the more things change, the more things also stay the same with all that corruption and debauchery and spirits. Ooh, of all different types. So, I look at what's going on with the homeless in Portland, especially those that are suffering from addiction, and I realize that they may be parasited on by things that they don't understand. And unfortunately, we're a society that's not mature enough to look honestly at some of these issues. See, here we have churches, right? We have other, spiritual beliefs. Why is it difficult for people to understand that when a man, especially when you're going through the society and your job's been either eaten by a robot, right, or replaced by a hipster robot, or something to that effect, right, it does something to one. If they are not doing what they should be doing, or working, or staying busy, feeling needed by someone or something, once that sense of feeling needed is gone, they check out. And people wonder why this is going on. And they wonder why they're see, when a man is in so much pain and he's dirty because he hasn't showered, right? And other things and other factors, plus the addiction or abuse, all of a sudden those voices pop in. And you start wondering, why are all those people hearing things? Tell you what, for thousands of years, mankind has talked about spiritual parasites that have haunted humans on a almost astral level or dream realm level, just beyond. Sometimes I call them archons, other people call them other things. All I have to say is, you see all these churches, and you see all these people wrapped up in their belief systems, the battle of good and evil. But when it comes to a homeless person suffering, they're able to kind of edit that out. Oh, that person's just crazy. They're not suffering for a specific reason. And for people to be in like a framework of, oh, well, that person should conform to our way of survival, our way of doing things. What kind of fascism is that? There's more than one way to live on this planet. And a man should be able to live without money. And he should be able to live with dignity. And he should be able to work to be in a situation where he doesn't need a lot of money to live. Where he can live off the grid or do other things. What you have right now is a situation and a legal structure and a criminal justice system and Agenda 21 like land use codes and regulations and other backlash against people trying to live the off-grid way of life. It's hurting people back into the cities, and it's causing a problem. At some point, these mayors, these city officials, these county commissioners, all these people need to figure out what's going on and stop lying to themselves if they are lying to themselves. Or get honest with the public if they're holding back. Okay? There's space out there that can be utilized. And I'm not a socialist. Okay? But my off-grid position or my political position is off-grid living. It's not left or right. It's freedom versus slavery. And I'm not going to be a slave to the state. Okay? So, off-grid living, my political position, to be away, to have the option of living away from other human beings. You can't do that in most places in this country. That's a problem. That's a problem that we live in a country that people have just allowed these homeowners associations to take control. I mean, it's just been a bunch of control freak behavior. The control freaks have taken over. The hall monitors have taken over City Hall. They've taken over the land use rights department, land use code department. And ultimately, when people are involved in any kind of harassment to someone on the property in which they own, they're bringing bad karma upon themselves. Anytime someone takes or hurts someone else, they're bringing that upon themselves. I want to raise awareness and spotlight a problem in our country of people being made homeless because of unnecessary rules and regulations. There shouldn't be this many homeless in the streets. How do people say that those people went and died for a flag when you have veterans homeless in the streets or veterans kicked off their land? I'm telling you folks, we got to figure something out. Offgridco.com, OFFGRIDCO.com. Some information that I put on that website about some off-grid rights issues that have gone on recently. How do we move forward with this? How do we build a nationwide coalition where people can talk about these things? I would bet you that a certain amount of the people that are homeless in urban environments, if provided with a situation to help themselves, and if they had somewhere to go for a few $1,000s to start over, if that money meant anything anymore in this country, where those with the highest stack have the loudest voices, that's wrong. See, I think there has to be a revolution in consciousness for there to be like an opening of the heart for people to see these things. For now, I'm going to keep bringing these ideas to you and so many more. I'm Alex Ansary signing off for April 25th, 2017.